should the Spurs go all in and go get Naz Reid?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs within the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. You guys are the everydayers. Keep on coming here to Locked On Spurs every single day for all things silver and black as the offseason just began. I know it's going to be a long one, so we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube, Locked On Spurs newsletter. See that word there, that little link down there? It says LockedOnDaily.com. Go there right now. Go subscribe to Locked On Spurs and the rest of the Locked On NBA Network's newsletters. Yeah, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What are we talking about today? You can see on your screen if you're watching on YouTube, Naz Reid. He has a player option. He could possibly be a free agent once the Minnesota season is over. Should the Spurs go get him? There's a lot of pros. There's a lot of cons. Yeah, we're going to be kind of filtering through that. And then look at the well, I wish the Spurs were in the postseason. I should say the NBA postseason. Kawhi Leonard, former Spur, he had himself a game in Game 2 versus the Nuggets. Knicks, Pistons, what's going on with the New York Knicks? That's my home. That's my adopted city of New York City. I lived there for clearly 20 years. So hopefully my second favorite team, the Knicks, are going to do well moving forward. Let's go to bring in our guest. He is Mike Jimenez of Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. There'll be no transitions using Ted DiBiase's music today, Jimenez. I saw what you did yesterday on your show.
It was fun.
I caught it.
That's right. You're the Ted DiBiase, the $1 million man of sports journalism in San Antonio.
No.
Easily.
That's the creation of Mike Jimenez because of a story that y'all know involving New York City, Uber, and y'all remember, y'all know what we're talking about. That's how it all started. Jimenez, again, make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. He's with Area 210 Podcast. We're going to be discussing that or giving Mike a chance to brag about that show in just a few minutes. Mike, the Spurs rebuild continues. We're almost out of there, but still needs some fine tuning. And one player that a lot of Spurs fans are looking at as a possible addition next season is perhaps soon to be free agent Naz Reid out of Minnesota. I said in the intro, he has a player option with Minnesota, but if he opts out, obviously he's going to be looking for a bigger bag, maybe a bigger role. Who knows what he's looking at? Obviously, Minnesota's going to do what they can to keep him. He's very beloved in Minnesota. So there's that. Let's start off with the pros. And right off the bat, I want to bring this up to you, and I want to get your point on this as well. His skill set is complementary to Wemby. It's exactly kind of the big that you want in San Antonio. 6'9", 264, veteran forward. That floor spacing, he has it. I got it right here, 41.4% from the three line in 23-24 season. So he could definitely hit that three shot. He has versatility. He can defend. He has length. Reduce the wear and tear on Wemby. What else can I say? Oh, yeah, they'd be a very dynamic front court. As mentioned, Wemby and him, they'd be deep threats. They definitely can hit the three. We saw that already in the playoffs. Naz Reid can knock down threes. Ask the Lakers. Wemby, and well, we know where you stand on this, but Wemby does take a lot of threes, and he does make his good chunk there. He can attack the basket. Jimenez, on paper, this looks like this could be a possible good fit in San Antonio. Your thoughts?
Oh, it'd be an amazing fit. And you mentioned that he's a veteran player. This isn't a veteran player like Harrison Barnes or CP3 who are in their 30s. The dude's 25. He's 25 years old, 6 years behind his belt. I hate to say this, Jeff. Isn't Nas Reed what we hope Jeremy Sohan would turn into be at some point? Because they're the same height. They play relatively the same position. They're both defensive oriented. The big difference, you mentioned it, Nas Reed can shoot. He has a mid-range game. He knocked down 6 3-pointers in the last playoff game with the T-Wolves when they won game 1 against the Lakers. He can play. He can hoop. He can shoot threes. Career 37%. Career 58% effective field goal shooting. This is somebody that we would want to have as a star within the team. He knows his role. Beyond all that, man, I bring up Sohan because, I've always joked around about Sohan, but this is exactly, in a perfect world, this is who he would turn into. So why not just go get him, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be silly if he opts into his player contract, right? Because he has one more year left in his deal.
Mhm.
It's a player option, $15 million. Dude, he can make a lot more on the outside. And we got to think about this, Jeff. What are we going to have to do at the end of next season?
Mhm.
Hey, Sohan.
Hey, so yeah, start paying some people. Yep.
So the thing is, the check is due on Sohan, the check is due on Wesley and Brodham at that point. You're going to have to cut a couple of those guys, one or two or all three. So going after Nas Reed is really basically going after Sohan's replacement in anyway.
Yeah, and on paper, it seemingly is an upgrade over Sohan simply because of the offensive side that Sohan lacks. Now, here's the thing, too. Talking about the pros of why the Spurs should bring him in and why he would fit in San Antonio. You talk about knowing his role. Remember, he's a former Sixth Man of the Year award winner. Mm-hmm. So he knows what it is to play his role. He's not going to be going above and beyond that. He's going to play within his means and what he needs to do, hopefully, in San Antonio. You keep on looking at some of the pros that he brings. He can be an attention getter on defense because defense are going to have to respect his outside shot and his ability to get to the basket. Speed of getting to the basket, 57.8 true shooting around the basket. So he's definitely effective in the paint. He's definitely effective outside in the perimeter. He can definitely handle starter minutes. That's for sure. It's not, I think all players can. He can. And I think that's what his role would be in San Antonio, right? He would have to be a starter in San Antonio, or do you still think he'd be more effective coming off that bench?
No, he'd have to be a starter. He most definitely would have to be a starter. And when we say that he has a good three-point shooting, you mentioned 41% a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. He was 37, 38% this past year. You look at it, he has made, I'm looking at the numbers right here, 344 three-pointers in the last 2 seasons alone. The guy averages 5.6 attempts per game at basically a 40% clip. You add that to a Barnes and to a Wemby and to a Fox and Castle, that right there is a playoff team. That is a top 6 team. That's not, we're going to get into play-in. That is a top, and then you add the fact that you'd have a second unit with Keldon and with Vassell and Sohan. Dude, that would be the ideal pick because he's also seems to be very selfless out there. And when you see the Minnesota Timberwolves fan base love him, why would they love him? They love him for a reason, right? He's a fan favorite for a reason, which means he's got to be in the community. He's got to be a good guy. He kind of fits the Spurs mold. If he wants to come in, you got to shell it out, man. You got to pay him. Pay the man.
And another positive, we're looking at the pros, is on the Spurs side, is they have enough cash to do that. Don't forget, they have one of the biggest financial cap flexibility in the NBA. So they can afford any sticker price he and his agent could do. I mean, they can do even a poison pill to the Timberwolves, just overpay him. And you've been on that train for years, how Spurs have to overpay free agents, or in this case, a potential free agent of his ilk to come to San Antonio. You mentioned his youth. 25 years old. He fits in that Spurs timeline in the rebuild. He's not a rental. He would definitely be a long-term piece. And I think he's a pretty decent passer. Not the greatest, but he's okay. He definitely would be a fit in San Antonio. There's a lot of pros. But there's also a lot of cons as well. We're going to do that when we get back. We're going to look at some of the negatives to bringing Naz Reid to San Antonio. There are a few. So we'll get to that and then give our verdict. Should the Spurs go in and pull the plug and say, you know what, Naz, here's an offer sheet, sign on the dot. You're now a San Antonio Spur. With Mike Jimenez of Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. But first, I want to talk to you about Game Time.
There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until I found Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see that total cost up front, no surprises at checkout. This is why I love Game Time. They have last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, whatever you can find. You can grab last minute seats for, say, a Spurs game and save big on their zone deals. Peace of mind with the seats views before you buy, no surprise fees, and a low cost price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. The lowest price guarantee means you'll never have to worry about overpaying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez. He's with Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at MJ Acquire Taste. He'll brag about that show in just a few minutes. You know, I got to have like a song for you when you come on Locked On Spurs. You know, you got the money song from Ted DiBiase for me on your side. I got to get one for you, but I just can't picture. I was thinking something from the 90s.
Okay, so from the 90s, I would go back in time to the 70s, man. I would do the Darth Vader entrance music.
Nah, you're not nerd enough.
Not cool enough?
Nerd enough. You know, they're not that you're cool enough, not cool enough. It's just that you're not nerdy enough to get that honor. You know, I'm thinking if I'm gonna go with, man, I would go with for you. I'm thinking for some reason I'm drawn to the 90s right now.
Like 90s grunge or
no 90s R&B.
R&B, dude. I was 6th row at Boys to Men last weekend out there in Oklahoma. It was nice, dude. It was a surprise for my girlfriend. But if we're gonna go 90s R&B, it had to be like Keith Sweat, you know, like Nobody Got Me Twisted Over You, you know, something like that.
I was going to go something from Weird Al Yankovic in the 80s, but we went down. I went back one decade. Again, he is Mike Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquire Taste. So why is Jimenez here? We're discussing the potential possibility of the Spurs chasing Naz Reid. Now, a lot of Spurs fans, most Spurs fans, not all, are saying, yes, Spurs do it. This is a no-brainer. He fits in well. We went over a lot of the good that he can do for San Antonio from knowing his role, you know, the offensive side of things, the somewhat of the defensive side of things, and of course, you know, his athleticism and age. But there are cons to it. And let's talk about the first big one is just simply, we kind of hinted at it, but the cost. It may cost the Spurs a lot of cash. Right now, he could opt out of a $15 million option with the Wolves for next season. But a lot of reports out there have his price tag near $25 to $30 million annually in free agency. You think a player like that is worth that kind of cash, Jimenez?
Well,
that's a lot.
I will answer that question with a question. How much do we think Sohan's worth? Because Sohan will have to be re-signed at the end of next season anyway, if the Spurs want to keep him, right? Restricted free agent at that point. The biggest con of all this is the fact that, is he worth $25 million? He is, because somebody's going to want to sign him for that amount.
Yeah.
I mean, 6'9",
that's steep, though.
That's 6'9", who can play defense, who can spread the floor, make 40% from three. I mean, that's sweet. The downside is that we'd have probably have to say goodbye to certain players, right? Not only Sohan, we probably would have to say bye to Devin Vassell when it's all said and done. We'd probably have to package Vassell, and we'd probably have to get rid of at least one or two fan favorites. I probably would say that's probably going to be Sohan and Vassell some way, somehow, because not only you have to do this, you have to extend out De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah. And
at some point, a couple of years, Wemby's contract comes due, you know, and then he's going to sign a super max or whatever it's going to be at that point.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to stick with the financial situation here the Spurs could face. Paying Nas Reid that kind of money, don't you think that strains their cap flexibility? And you mentioned having to pay Wemby. I mean, that could dent the Spurs. You know, obviously they're going to pay him. I get that. They might get that whole apron stuff going, but from that, because of Nas Reid, then you got to pay Wemby, then that's going to hurt potential future big name free agents coming to San Antonio and paying them, Jimenez.
Well, I don't think the Spurs necessarily need a big name free agent. Why do we have to make this an all-star team? I mean, right now you have a blossoming star. If you saw what Draymond Green had to say about Stephon Castle the other day, saying that guy is going to be the next, not only rookie of the year, but he's going to be a future all-star. We have De'Aaron Fox, who was an all-star himself. So De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Wemby, we don't need to have necessarily a Kevin Durant or necessarily a big name free agent. All we need is somebody who knows their role, somebody who can actually play multiple positions, who can anchor the defense, somebody who can actually spread the floor. And you add them to, Joe and I refer to Harrison Barnes as the Toyota Corolla, Mr. Reliable, also on the team. It goes well. The pieces of the puzzle fit with a Nas Reed, but again, there's a cost to that, because at that point, once you get Nas Reed, you're basically done with signing people for a while, because De'Aaron Fox is going to get paid, Wemby's going to get paid, Castle's going to get paid eventually, and then you're going to have Nas Reed getting paid, and then you're sitting there going, well, there's really not much to do after that. You got your starting lineup, and then you're hoping that the draft picks fill in the gaps, and the Champagnes and the Mamus of the world with $2 or $3 million contracts can fill in the missing pieces.
Yeah, so there you have it. Perhaps the biggest con is the Spurs ponying up the sticker price for Reed, thus affecting their cap, the flexibility moving forward. So that's kind of the biggest thing. Now, you mentioned the defensive side of things. He's good. I'm not saying he's horrible, but he's also not elite. He only averages about 0.9 blocks per game. That's it. That's not elite level there. You could see some gaps in defensiveness with him on the court with the Wembanyama. But again, Wemby's there. He's a human eraser. He'll clean up all your mistakes. So there's that. So the defensive fit, it's okay. It's not great, Jimenez.
No, but again, you have to balance that off with what does he bring on the offensive side of the ball. And it's one of those things where you can't have both. Right. I mean, I think of the movie Air with, about Michael Jordan back in the day. And you have Matt Damon's character saying, you can't be Dr. J and Michael Cooper at the same time. You can't be the scoring leader and the defensive player of the year at the same time. And you can't expect the Spurs to go out there and trot out a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. It's about having a balanced team that can get stops when needed. It doesn't mean that you have to be defensive, he had to be elite at all times. You say he only averages 0.9 blocks per game. I look at it this way: he and Wemby average 5 combined. But I just look at it this way: we're in a NBA that is offensive minded more than defensive minded, and because of that, you need to put the ball in the hoop, and that's what he can do. He can play decent defense, and actually look at it this way: De'Aaron Fox is a very good defender. Stephon Castle's a good defender. Wemby's an excellent defender. Harrison Barnes is pretty fine. If Sohan's on the court with him, he's good defender. Yeah, you don't have to all be elite in that realm of game. Yeah.
Other cons, I guess I'll put this in the con category, is the Wolves are likely going to be the favorite team that he'll land with because of the history he has there. They're a budding team. He knows his role there. You mentioned the community. So there's that. So the Spurs have to compete not just with Minnesota, but also negative is multiple teams. Spurs are probably not going to, if they decide to do that, are not going to be the only team to chase Naz Reid. So there'll be kind of a bidding war, perhaps. Maybe that's where the Spurs would get outpriced just because other teams are willing to pay. So there's the risk of that happening. And I guess, if I can't think of any other con, I mean, I don't think he'd be, asking for a starting role. I don't see that happening.
He'll get starter minutes. He'll get starter minutes.
He'll get starter minutes. Yeah. But other than that, if we put it on a weight scale, tends to lean towards, Spurs should chase him if he opts out of his contract to chase a bigger bag. But that's where I think that's the rub is going to happen is, what is Nas Reed going to want? If he wants upwards of $25 million or more, that's where I think the Spurs may have to rethink things. Other thing, too, is that, the starter, if you want a starting role, I mean, I don't know if that's going to impact the thing, but I think with the Spurs, it just comes down to that. How much is he going to want? Because historically, the Spurs team doesn't pay a lot for free agents. I think that is what the rub could be. But barring that, Jimenez, if he opts out, man, I better hear some reports that the Spurs are in the mix for you. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the pros outweigh the cons by far, and this would
Yeah.
actually be an all-in move if this happens,
Mhm.
because at this
Yeah.
point, the team is set. You're ready to roll at this point. You have your starting point guard, your starting shooting guard, you have your small forward, you have your generational talent, then you've got your big man down low, you've got some pretty decent pieces on the bench, and then what if the Spurs land on that 29.6% chance of being in the top 4? And then we're good to go. We're good to go.
Yeah. So overall, I think overall we're both in agreement here, and I think we agree with most of Spurs fans. There are some Spurs fans that say no, but that the Spurs should go and chase him should he become available. And we're not the only ones. Jimenez, you love talking about betting and odds and future props, all that good stuff. Bovada has the Spurs as the favorites to land Nas Reed at plus 400 if he opts out of and leaves Minnesota. And that's ahead of the Mavericks and the Cavaliers. So, yeah. You know what? Can you imagine the starting, a core unit with that? Reed, Wemby, Castle, Fox. I mean, that'd be devastating.
Yeah.
That'd be devastating.
All chips in the middle of the table at that point, man.
Yeah.
We got the team that we need to have. And what a big turnaround that would be for this organization. And the rebuild would officially be over at that point.
Absolutely. He is Mike Jimenez of Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Do that right now. Suggest some 90s R&B music for him that we should pick with him.
I will let you know when I karaoke with the girlfriend down the street, they refer to me as R&B Mike when I go out there, because I typically sing 90s R&B out there.
Here we go. All right.
I didn't say I did any good. I didn't say I was any good. I just said that I do it.
I still remember you. I think it was when you were with San Antonio Spurs still. You tried singing karaoke live.
Oh, well, first of all, that night, Jason Minix got me big time. I had about 5 or 6 cocktails too many, and I was like, I don't want to sing anymore.
They even played audio of you singing. Like somebody captured you, recorded your audio, and they put it on there for all of San Antonio to hear. All right.
Yeah.
There's that. Jimenez, Mr. Karaoke himself. Who probably, how much did you tip though to get ahead of the list though?
I didn't tip. You see, I was done for the night. Minix tipped them $100 to move me up. So he paid for me to make a fool out of myself. So
I guess it was money well spent, because they definitely
it's a story. It
definitely is a story. All right, we'll be back in just a few seconds. We're going to talk about some NBA playoffs. Yeah, unfortunately the Spurs are not in it, but hey, there's still some exciting times on the NBA court. But first, I want to talk about Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K.
Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your game and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to Avowed. As easy as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's on your Fire TV. Endless entertainment with 4K streaming. Watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Hey, how about affordable and portable gaming? Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost than a console. Already have a console? No problem. A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you plug in. Look, you got to get it right now. The Fire Stick TV 4K can be a game changer. Look, you don't have to have any gaming interest. You can just dive in. And by the way, it's so easy to use, so easy to navigate. This is a great way to even just start playing some gaming on the Xbox as well. Hey, head to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
This is Emilio Rivera, El Padrino for the Mayans MC. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mr. Karaoke himself. Mike that he can never say no to. He is Mike Jimenez. So make sure to follow my next at MJ Acquired Taste. He's with the Area 210 podcast. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Jimenez, the Spurs fit on the postseason, unfortunately, but does not mean there's a lot of basketball action to talk about. Let's talk about the most fun series right now is Denver Clippers. That one is fun. That one comes down to the wire. Right now, as of this recording, the series is split 1-1 going back to the Intuit Arena. And got to start by saying, man, Kawhi Leonard, he looked like Kawhi Leonard of old in that game too. Just nearly was perfect from shooting from outside. Just he was keeping the Clippers in the game. It was a tight game, but ultimately, I think the Clippers won that game over Denver. I don't think Denver gave them that game where it was Denver's fault. I think the Clippers won that, or maybe I should say Kawhi won it for them. Because you look at game one, that was all Clippers. They lost that game. I mean, 20-something turnovers, that just dooms them. But there's a chance this series could have been 2-0, nothing Clippers going back to LA, Jimenez.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard just 6 weeks away from turning 34 years old. Amazing.
He's 34?
He's going to be 34 in June. So it's amazing to see him turn back the clock the way that he did, 39 points, shot like 70% from the field.
Yeah.
The guy was just on fire. And it was more than him just taking shots and catch and shoot. He was bringing the ball up the court, pulling up, shooting. He was doing killer crossover, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He was driving in the lane. He was absorbing contact. He looked like Kawhi Leonard, dare I say, of 2015, 16, 17.
Oh, yeah. That
he looked
run, yeah.
Yeah, he looked pre-Zaza Kawhi Leonard.
He did.
And it proved the sense that when he is healthy, even now, Kawhi Leonard is a top 3 player in the NBA because of what he could do on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And it was bittersweet to see because as a Spurs fan, a lot of Spurs fans are upset with Kawhi, and rightfully so. But at the same time, he did bring us the chip in 2014, so it just is what it is. But you watched him play, and it was a complete throwback. And I counted the number of games that he has missed in his career. Over the course of 13 seasons, he has missed 399 games in the regular season, not including the playoff games, which would take it well above 400.
Well, there's no reason for him to not be ready for this series with all that rest.
Is he the biggest what if in basketball? Because the what if isn't necessarily that whether or not he was going to be a good player or not. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Kawhi Leonard will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. 2-time Finals MVP, 6-time All NBA player. He's gonna make it, right? But you look at Kawhi Leonard. Is the what if whether he was going to be a top 15, 20 player of all time?
Yeah.
He's obviously a Hall of Famer.
I think you have to deduct for the amount of time he missed.
Well, we're right, but what I'm saying,
yeah,
let's say that he had an average normal career. Like, Grant Hill made the Hall of Fame, even though he missed a lot of games and whatnot. We knew that he was a great player, but Kawhi Leonard could have been the generational player that we think Wemby is.
Yeah. And I guess for the Clippers, better late than never. And he's showing up so far in this series. There's that as well. But I was talking about the series earlier, and this is a series where either team has to play nearly perfect, as close to perfect as you can, because they're so evenly matched. They're so evenly. If the Nuggets have 11 turnovers and the Clippers have 12, that could be the game. I mean, that close.
Yeah.
And but hey, what do you expect out of a 4-5 matchup? Technically, a 4-5 matchup is nearly even. And the series record reflects that 1-1 going to LA. Who do you think is going to come out of that series? That was tough to call.
If Kawhi is healthy, I'll take the Clippers, and mostly because of the whole power vacuum that happened after Michael Malone got let go by the Nuggets. I don't see how they recover from that long term.
Yeah. And now that they've stolen home court advantage, Intuit Arenas, or to Dome, I should say, is pretty raucous, and a lot of players play well at home on the Clippers side of things.
Yeah.
So, think about it. If just Norman Powell can be Norman Powell, who saw during the regular season, it could be a wrap. If he's consistently like where he was in the regular season, Denver could be exited out of the postseason. All right. The other series that's pretty intriguing right now is Knicks versus Pistons, my adopted home in New York City, my adopted team, the Knicks, lost the home court advantage. Going into this series, Jimenez, I thought this was going to be a fun series. I still thought that the Knicks were going to sweep them simply because of Detroit's inexperience. But game 2, I mean, Pistons get there to MSG. They get the W. Cade Cunningham, the Knicks had no answers for him. Woo, I think Knicks are in for a fight, Jimenez.
They are. That Detroit team is scrappy. And keep in mind, that Detroit team is a team that, had a lot of chances of getting the number 1 overall pick, but kept on picking number 5, right? Yeah. But you look at that team, they have Cade Cunningham there, who was a number 1 overall pick, scoring more than 40 points. He's somebody who can light it up. He can be a facilitator. He's an excellent player. They just have a very scrappy roster who didn't necessarily have the most playoff experience, but they came alive. Yeah. And they're the ultimate everyone's against us type of team. Mm-hmm. No one believes in us type of team. You look at the Knicks, though. What a crappy franchise that is. You look at it. They haven't had a championship since 1973. Mm-mm. Can we quit calling the Big Apple, New York City, the mecca of basketball? In what capacity is that the mecca of basketball? That's not the mecca of...
I think it's the amount of players that have come out of New York.
That's not the mecca of college basketball. That's not the mecca of pro sports. That's not the mecca of anything. That is a self-anointed self-claim. That's like the Cowboys taking NFL films and saying that they're going to call themselves America's team, right? Yeah. You look at it, and the Knicks, man, that's a snake-bitten organization, and I don't think they have a player that I would trust to take it down the stretch. Yeah. I'm not saying that they're not going to win the series. They should beat the Pistons in the series. Pistons, yeah. But I don't see the Knicks going very far in the playoffs. If they pass this round, they're going to be bounced in the second round.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think it'll go 6 with New York winning it. I think the experience of the Pistons will show as the series continues, as games get tighter in the series, pressure increases. But how much? What do they give up to get Bridges in Nick Colors? A lot.
7 picks, like 7 bells.
What has he done so far in 2 games? Not much. So there's that. But hopefully, my adopted home of New York City and the Knicks can get a W in Game 3. He is Mike Jimenez of Area 210 Podcast. Mike, you need to brag about that show. What's cooking over there?
Yeah, we have more than 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. We go on daily, Monday through Friday, weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Joe Garcia is my co-host and producer. We talk sports, pop culture, and nostalgia. It's a fun show. Jeff is oftentimes on talking Spurs with us on Wednesdays. But we have a good time just palling around, man. I mean, it's a fun community of listeners who've gotten to know each other on a personal level, which I find that to be interesting because it's not a podcast of strangers. People take part in the chat. They take part in our get-togethers. It's a nice community. And believe it or not, even though Jeff throws me under the bus on Twitter,
I don't throw you under the bus. I just
regularly
repeat what you say. I just repeat what you say.
Believe it or not,
throwing yourself under the bus.
Believe it or not, people like me when they meet me in person. They might not like my takes, but they like me in person.
By the way, speaking of in person, I came across my cell phone the other day. I had a photo of you and me at the friendly spot. And that was the night that we were so trashed. We ate at that food cart on the Riverwalk.
Oh, my God. You were at the Esquire that night also.
Yeah, the Esquire. Yes. And that food truck was still there. I walked by the other day. I said, that's the food truck that Jimenez and I just...
Okay, I'm not going to tell a story about that night, but there's a funny thing that I tell my girlfriend about that night, and she is not proud of me when I mention it about how frugal I can be.
Yes.
Well, I'll keep that. I'll tell you off air that.
Yeah, off air. Yeah. Don't get yourself in trouble, Jimenez. Do not get yourself in trouble. He is Mike Jimenez of Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. You want to do that right now? Subscribe to Area 210 Podcast on YouTube immediately. Jimenez, we thank you for always taking time out of your busy schedule to come here on Locked On Spurs to talk all things silver black. I'm going to need your help a lot too, buddy. It's a long off season, so don't be surprised. Right. Come on, Mike Jimenez, can you help? But again, Mike Jimenez, thanks as always. And we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. You guys are the everydayers. Come back tomorrow. We got more silver black talk as the silver and black's off season continues. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. Don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Kensfire Plus, have YouTube, Locked On Spurs newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. Go there right now. Go subscribe. So for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.